Market vitals is the levels you need to triage the market. It's like a field hospital, Matt. This market is like a field hospital. There's collateral damage everywhere. We've been talking about it for 2 years, Matt. Right sides available. June 1st, so we got monthlies to talk about. Matt, first of all, I probably can't yet.
You can.
I can. I can share?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Man, I wanted to talk about this coming in.
So far ahead of it?
Gorgeous on Redbubble. The manja, do yourself a favor and cook someone a meal. Matt, the reason why I bring this in is because apparently they're not cooking as many meals as they usually do.
Right.
$770 billion budget. And right now, I forget what aircraft carrier this is in the Mediterranean. But they're down to 2 meals a day. You know, Gordon Lightfoot wrote the song, the Edmund Fitzgerald, right? And one of the lines is, Matt, fellas, it's too rough to feed you. Apparently here, the cook is saying, fellas, there's no food to feed you. What is going on? These are our guys. These are our boys and gals.
Well, they're on intermittent fasting. Forced intermittent fasting.
Wow. I didn't see this coming. Of all the things I didn't see coming, this for sure I did not see coming. Anyway, go to Redbubble and get yourself a Manja TV hat. Do yourself a favor, cook someone a meal. Matt, we need to get back to that. It is June, Matt, and all the rage of Pride, the Pride Month. And Matt, what I wanted to talk about is that, listen, everything, Matt, everything and anything is a sex toy if you're brave enough.
Right.
Just got to be brave.
Right.
And this person here, my thought on this is like Martina, right? They've canceled her. Glenn Greenwald, like the fringe that we grew up with, right? They're rolling their heads now.
Right.
They're like, it was this big thing. I came out and I was so nervous about it. And guess what? Everybody accepted me. And it was such a relief.
Right.
But now you got this woman is sexually attracted to a plane, man, a Boeing, and hopefully it's just a Boeing toy. Matt, that leads me into, we like talking price discovery.
I mean, it's a fantastic sex toy, so I get it.
Here's the prominent players in the global sex toys market. Okay. I gotta tell you, Market Vitals, we go deep on the research. The research provided by grandviewresearch.com. How do you like to get that list, Matt? Anyway, Church and Dwight, the number one by market cap. Makers of Arm & Hammer baking soda, Pepsodent, toothpaste, OxyClean, and also, Matt, Trojan, your favorite lubricant and sex protection, and obviously providing sex toys to the market. Man, let's talk about them. That's what we do.
Sure, Bob.
CHD.
CHD.
Yeah.
Chad. We'll call it Chad. It's Church and Dwight. And, it's sitting in balance pretty much. 85. It pulled back from the high of 105 here on the 610. Babies, we created more babies in 2021. I don't know if you saw that for the first time in a while. There was, which makes sense. COVID was going on.
I mean, that's why I think the sex toys, they said the market increased by like 26% during COVID. Like everybody's at home.
Right. And they got, they had to keep themselves from, getting bored. But, looks right-sided now to me, Bob. I mean, now that, Elon is forcing all his workers to come back to the office, do not be remote. If you work in Fremont, California, I don't want to see you in the Ohio office. I want to see you in Fremont, California.
Yeah, and I loved what he said, too. It was like, you could pretend to have a job at another company. If you don't want to come into the office, right. You can pretend you have a job. You can identify it as employed at another place.
Yeah, and while we're talking about it, why don't we look at Boeing, since it's a sex toy now for a certain segment of the population. And
I got to tell you, you want to talk about being brave. That is bravery off the charts as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, here we are, right? This is 19. This thing was cranking before COVID, and now look at it. I mean, we're just dragging on the bottom. I haven't looked at this in a while, and it's like it's pretty amazing. Like this just tells me the future's not bright. I mean, if
Well,
Boeing,
especially for high use case of petroleum, because that chart, as we've covered, looks like it wants to go at least test a 150 high, all-time high, at least.
150, what do you mean? You mean the low?
Crude. I'm talking about crude.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
How can boy, like, who's flying?
Oh yeah, no, crude's going there. I'm not buying the fact that, there's a lot of people traveling, yeah, they are, but they're not back to where we were in 2019, I assure you. But yeah, we're 119. The COVID low here was 89. Guess what? Everything goes to the COVID low. We've got to test that COVID low on Boeing. I still think. I've been saying it for a while. It's been a good short, from the 250 area, and it's 119. So I don't see why that would change. It just appears to be grinding its way to new lows here, Bob.
Matt, what was the CRM? I saw one of our favorite globalists, Salesforce, had a giant bump. Was it on earnings? And there was another story about a stock split that I'm not sure which one that was. Lee, anybody out there?
That's up 10% today, but again, it was sitting in balance, due for a correction of the sell-off. But this isn't a pretty chart. I guess everybody liked this balance down in here, 155. But to me, the lower end of value still is where the COVID low was, 115. So you can rally all you want up to 240. I'll sell it, but I don't see it getting that high. Now, I mean, here's today. I mean, here's what we did.
It was off earnings. They
No, it was, yeah, we had earnings. The earnings were, they beat both ends, earnings and the revs. But really, did they really beat 7.4 over 7.3? I mean, that's not much in revenue. So they're not really.
I mean, it seems to me in this down market, anybody's looking for any positive story,
any reason to buy, and that's what it was. I mean, here you go. Here's the earnings. Whoosh. Take out all the shorts who have been shorting down in here the last 10 days, right? Like, again, this is like, if you're trading, I can tell you, if I had been short, I would have bought calls. I would have back spread it if I was still short, just to benefit from this type of move, because I'm already short. Why wouldn't I just, continue to be short, but put on some upside action on the event that this reacts like this? And again, it's not like we took out any significant levels, right? As you fractal out here, we can't even get over that 187 level. So, this may portend a move to 190s. I don't know, Bob, but again, what's left after that? The earnings are out. Everything's out. They weren't that great. Now you're forward looking, where business is not going to be spending a lot of money on new software, right? They're just, as things continue to tighten, they're going to continue to spend less on productivity tools, I would imagine, and upgrades, et cetera. And they haven't had a cycle like that in any of these software companies. And again, 15 years. So why wouldn't we continue to, the long-term path? Again, let's just look at the weekly on this thing. Again, you can see where we've come from. This thing is just parabolic. I mean, this is a weekly chart since going public, 2004, $3 to 300, 100 bagger. Congratulations. And I know a lot of people that work for this company that seriously, it's like Microsoft in the 80s. You got rich.
You got
just
rich.
Working there. You got rich just working there. And a lot of those people better be taking some of these profits. If you've been with this company 15, 20 years, you better be, banking in, because it's going to come back down into value, which is down here at $70, Bob. Right? I don't see that. I just don't see that changing.
All right, Matt, it was Amazon a split. Will trade at the split adjusted basis on June 6th. June 6th.
So they've been rallying
stock
that.
Split.
They've been rallying that the last couple of days, and that's the reason why. Again,
we talked about this with Tesla on the stock split.
Yep.
And so bring up Amazon again, a longer term, because.
Well, this is a longer term, but we've had a rally the last few days. So let's take a look at the rally. The rally is taking us up. And again, you might get a little bit more, but we're just coming into like this whole, they're working off this oversoldness, and that's significant. 2,000, Bob, up to 2,400. So that's
bring it up. I don't see it.
Oh, sorry.
Not a
We've
problem.
had a 20% rally here in the last week. I mean, huge, all because of a split. Okay. All right. I'll wait for the, what is it? 20 for one? What are they? It's going to be $100.
20 for one. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's going to be
And a
$100.
$10 billion buyback also.
All right. Well, that's good. It's working off, making I don't know. It's still below this level. It's not going anywhere.
All right, Matt, let's talk about 81 million votes. The Joe Biden world. And
Ruprecht the Monkey Boy is my new name for him.
hold on. Speaking of Joe Biden, let me get the sex toys graphic.
Right.
As I'm not brave enough for that.
I've kind of locked up here, it looks like, so just letting you know.
He locked up?
Now I'm good.
He back.
He back.
Anyway, Top Gun Maverick does 250 million its first weekend worldwide.
Wow.
250 million.
I believe it. There's nothing else that people want to see. And guess what?
Exactly. And you want to talk about the pendulum swinging the other way to, masculine white supremacy at its finest. Maverick.
Well, and all the, the gruff lieutenants that were, shaking him out, right? The whole thing. It was so classic,
So were you able to see it? They were sold out.
I told you I watched the old one. I haven't. It's been sold out. I mean, I've tried. The $21 IMAX has been sold out, so I have not done it.
Unreal.
Yep.
All right, let me share something, Matt, because for sure, I don't know the rest of the soundtrack there, but I wanted to talk movie soundtracks. Are you seeing my Dead President screen?
Yep.
Great movie. One of my favorite movie soundtracks of all time. I mean, I know being white, male, my age group, it's supposed to be The Big Chill, right? That's supposed to be my favorite movie soundtrack. Right. But I'm hard no. Yeah. I'm hard no on The Big Chill versus Dead President soundtrack. I mean, look at this. The impressions about them: Stevie Wonder, Otis Redding, Jerry Butler, James Brown, The Intruders, Edwin Starr and Not War, right?
Yep. Yep.
James Brown, Aretha,
yep.
Marvin, The Temptations.
It reminds me of a soundtrack for Reservoir Dogs that I was looking at yesterday. Equally strong, by the way.
Sly. I mean, the Spinners, it's unreal. It's one Motown genre killer tune after another. Highly recommend it. Go to Spotify, not a sponsor, should be a sponsor, and check out Dead President soundtrack. What else you got on a soundtrack, Matt? I'll type it right in.
I said Reservoir Dogs is right up there.
Let me see that. All right, Reservoir Dogs. Come on, bring it up.
That's not really that. You're on the album right here. You're already on it. Yeah.
Oh, bingo. All right, stop playing. Here it is. Original motion picture soundtrack.
Yep.
Stephen Wright, yeah. Bedlam.
All kinds of Stephen Wright. The Steelers Wheels, which by the way, again, is the lead one-hit wonder, and everybody play that song because it's such a great song.
Yeah, it's not gonna. Let me ask you a question. Do you hear it?
No.
Yeah, I still haven't figured that out.
All right. Anyways, Jerry Rafferty was the lead singer of Stuck in the Middle with You, and remember,
I'm listening to it. Well, I don't know.
That's the scene where Madsen is dancing around with the knife and.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what came here tonight. Yeah. Speaking of
the brutally harsh scene, by the way, brutally harsh scene.
Lee, what do you got? What happened?
Yeah. And as far as soundtracks, I told you we didn't get to talk about this last night. Prince. I watched Purple Rain over the weekend.
Another great soundtrack.
1984, just that whole album, and the cinematography on Lake Minnetonka with Apollonia. Are you kidding me?
All right, Matt, I can't figure out how to stop sharing. I'm that generous. Please. Oh, there it is. It's all the way over here. Sorry, I blew up. Stop sharing now. All right, Matt, since we were talking June 1st, the new month, the other thing I wanted to tell you that I saw is that June is the worst performing month in the stock market during midterm year elections. Worst performing. So it wasn't selling May, it's selling June.
Well, we kick saved, but we could not get green in the NASDAQ for May. So even with that 12% move, Bob, we could not kick save it.
Let me show you on the monthly, because there's a couple of nuances that I want to share. This is Salesforce on the monthly. So yeah, a nice, earnings scene. But if this is an hourly chart, like I am selling this so feverishly, it looks like, seriously, if I'm in a pit and the market's acting like this, we just made new highs 6 brackets ago, and now the bottom is absolutely falling out.
Yep.
Now it's a monthly, so it's going to take time to play out. But look, the potentiality is all the way down on the monthly to that COVID low around 115.
It's coming.
Hello.
It's coming.
Hello.
It's coming.
All right. And the other thing I wanted to point out,
you can't stop it. I mean, this is the thing. You can wish and be, positive and all that, but that doesn't do anything when price is doing this. Let
me just go through the indices quickly.
Yeah.
Because they all did this, and all the candlestick makers and candle traders are going to say that's a doji month. This is the bottom is in. That's great. Thanks.
There was also like 3 or 4 dojis before that. They did.
Thanks for the doji alert.
Stop leaning your entire trading on a doji, please, people. Please, that is not a way to trade.
Russell doji, Nazi doji, Dow doji. My problem with, and here's the problem with the analysis, is because there's a Paul Harvey on the doji, right?
Yeah.
It's the rest of the story. Dojis are much more powerful after an extended rally or break. Right. And on the monthly, this is not extended yet.
No, it's kind of
just beginning. Just understand that it's just beginning, and everybody's going to tell you that's a terrible.
Well, the COVID low in the Dow is 18,000. Why won't we go there?
I mean, talk about potentiality.
And it's still above 30. Still above 30, Bob. Hasn't even broken 30.
The other thing I want to point out, equally nuanced.
And guess what? When that 30 level goes, you're going to get a lot of people puking.
Redemption song, yeah. Matt. I don't have the guitar in the studio right now, but Redemption Song is coming. We'll be playing Redemption Song at the end of the quarter, which is also the end of this month.
Right.
For sure. Anyway, I just wanted to point that out. That there's the nuance of the doji. I am discounting it right now. More importantly for me is any of these indices recapturing the lower momentum level on the monthly. The Dow, that's 33,388. NASI is going to be 13,462. Russell, 1955, and SPOOS, 4210. We recapture those momentum levels and close out of lower momentum on the monthly. Again, it's a long month, baby. It's June, so long month, and a lot of time left, obviously, as we're talking about this on the 1st. But that's more for me. Talking about triage, that would be healthier for all of these indices,
right?
If they can do that. And if they can't, hey, guess what? It's not as healthy. It's pretty simple. All right. Leasing, head to the bunkers. Energy still going crazy. Hopefully you don't need.
You had a great pullback yesterday. This is the thing. If you want to trade, oil is a great thing to trade, and you just need to know which side of the trend you're on and how you want to behave. But we talked about it yesterday. We shot up to 120. Guess what? We pulled back, to
bring it up.
We half back, pulled back to 114s. 110 to 120 is all I'm saying. That because remember we were stuck at 110 during the WEF meeting right here. Here was the WEF meeting.
Right on, just Klaus sideways.
Klaus had us sideways all last week. Then the weekend came and wham! Well, the Jets took off right here and the buy orders went in. And now, they sold off right back to the top of value. And if you were smart this morning, you picked some up at 114, already traded up to 118, Bob. That's a great trade. Huge moves.
And you can trade the micro now and only
Right.
lose half of your money or a tenth of your money that you would if you were losing.
I like crude. It trends well. It's a great trading device. You can be in it for more than a day or two, especially if you trade longer term charts like I do. I love it. I mean, especially when
I mean, look at that profile. I
Yep.
mean, it's a perfect distribution, and
Yep.
it moved away from it. For me, Matt, when I look at that, what is let's talk about the fractal of the meat of that profile, how big that profile
yeah, that's
is.
110. That's that 110 level. And then if we go, pull it out a little bit, back to, again, just looking at the last few months, very bullish. I mean, we've talked about this on a longer term chart. We're going to test 130 again. We just ran up to 120. Very bullish. I mean, it just dips back into here, and there's plenty of people going, I got to buy more. 102, 102, 102. You're not going to see that 90 level for a long time again. I just don't think you're going to see it anytime soon.
All right, let me share a couple of more that we've talked about before on a monthly
Yep.
fractal.
Please.
Lumber. Everything that we've seen and we've been talking about for months about housing. If this chart doesn't shake you to the bone, I don't know. You don't know standard deviation trading. That's all I got to tell you.
Yeah.
Because this thing fully looks like it wants to collapse back down to this lower. And I know it's going to show up in the profile too. There's got to be a profile range between, let's call it, 480 and 220.
Well,
Let's go back to these lows.
COVID lows are 225. We're going there.
Bingo there. And then I just wanted to bring up something crude.
And just point out where it is right now, Bob. It's, what is it, 600 still?
Yeah, it's still a long way to go.
Jeez.
And again, looking at the crude, I mean, this thing, it just looks like it wants it, and it hasn't even, again, this was supposed to be a doji here. Doji.
Lee, I told you, don't trade uranium. It's a waste of your time.
Unless you're a Clinton, then you can trade it. Uranium one. And in fact,
I don't understand it. I don't
the
understand.
Clintons, it's
I
uranium.
don't understand why people want to trade thin shit. Like, do you want to make money, or do you want to be right? I just want to make money. I really do. I can make money and be wrong. I don't care.
A lot too,
Yeah.
if you're doing it right.
Right. And that's my whole point. I can be wrong on a thesis as long as I respect my risk and go the other way, then I'm okay. Right. And that's all I care about. So I'm serious about this. Don't trade shit that is so illiquid and you can't,
back to the crude chart and that profile, there's just, you're not going to get slippage like you will when you're wrong, particularly.
Right. Correct.
Anyway, 137 available on the monthly. That will take out the recent high if it goes there to the collar on the monthly. And again, what is stopping? What policies are in place to make this go away?
I mean, if this doesn't explain exactly,
And by the way, all the level one.
Can you pull that up a little, by the way?
What do you mean? Spread it out?
Well, no, I can't see the bottom.
Oh, that was the negative 40.
But I just want to see, that was that April? Was it after COVID? Like, what month
This
was
was
it?
May of, April of 20 was
Yeah.
the negative 40.
So it was after COVID. Crazy. I'm just trying to put this all together in my brain.
But why is this going lower?
It's not. It's steady. These aren't even big candles. Like, it's slow and steady.
Bingy.
I mean, that's bullish. That is so bullish. There's nothing bearish about it. You had a dip. You had a dip in the end part of the year that should have been bought. Other than that, nothing's changed.
We got corn. Let's go through a couple of the grains too.
Pull up the bonds real quick, because we've rolled over. If people don't know, bonds rolled over at the end of May, so we're already into September now there. Whereas the financial futures have another 3 weeks left.
I got to go to the continuation on the bonds to get.
And we do begin the rollover next week already on the financials. So keep this in mind. Rollover games are beginning already. If you're longer term traders, you're already trying to position yourself for the next quarter now. You're not waiting for the next 2 weeks, right? And this is another lesson people need to, if you're trading futures in longer term, you should be rolling over your longer term position when it is advantageous to you now. Don't wait until the day before the rollover, because that stuff is noise.
Here's the bonds on the monthly. And again, it's just falling away potential on the monthly. Like, yeah, okay. Bonds also, they put in a doji candle.
Right.
And this is actually a better setup for a doji candle because it is quite a long run here. But
Well, how about this, Bob? We're well below the COVID low, well below.
Correct.
On the bonds. Because that was like 155. That level's gone, long, daddy gone. Like this 40-year bond market, by the way, it's over.
Say that one more time, man.
The 40-year bond bull market is over. All you people that have been selling this shit since 1980, you've had a heck of a run. Retire. It's over. Or learn to go to the dark side.
Right on. Right on. Yeah, I would say when somebody send me a chart like this and say, I want to get long this, I would say not with Mother Teresa's money. And that's kind of the way I feel about, and then we got the victory. How great is it now that Yellen saying I was wrong now is a victory lap?
Oh, dude, it's fucking ridiculous.
Right? Now we got the victory lap.
How are they? Seriously, if these were truly stewards of our money, they would have been fired. The whole thing.
Say that one more time for our listening.
If they were stewards of our governmental, fiscal, and monetary policy as they are supposed to be, they would be fired.
Instead, they're huddling at the White House.
Right. Instead, they're having tea with Ruprecht the monkey boy.
All right, that's what we got. Anything else? No, much better show than yesterday. I was completely disheveled yesterday. So disheveled, I had to break out one of my old Rasta hats just to settle myself back in. Anything else, Matt? We got hockey playoffs.
Yeah, we kicked off with that. We kicked off with the Western Conference last night. Solid game. We could talk a little. Let's just look at the ruble just to check in here.
I had that one. I was going through.
Not much has changed.
You brought that up.
Not much has changed. We approached a double high, double top here. See what happens. But again, as long as this thing stays above like 12 cents or whatever this is, 0.012, looks okay. Looks bullish to me.
It sure does.
Sanctions, again, by Ruprecht the monkey boy and the rest of the monkeys out there isn't working. Same old story. The dollar, we have not checked in it. We talked about it maybe last week. The dollar is down considerably, right? It went from a 105 tick all the way back down here. Where are we now? 101s? Yeah.
I mean, as long as it can hold, I'm not sure when that profile builds out, but 100 on the standard deviation modeling is key.
Well, we had a bump again today. And again, when dollar goes up, market goes down. This has kind of been the way it moves. So
I got the dollar trading 107 in June. That's your number. That's my number. 107.46 to be exact.
I would, I'm still bullish. I'm long. I took some off 104. We traded up to 105. 107, dude. I don't know.
Let me show it to you. Let me show you my reasoning.
Okay, please do.
Again, we talk about.
You're saying this month or June of next year or June of?
No. June, this month.
Gotcha. That's it.
This is the monthly again on standard deviation modeling. If this is an hourly chart, there's no reason why it can't go trade that collar this month, especially since the amount of time we sat here sideways, 89 to 100, right? Now this is a monthly, so that is 7 years we've traded in this range.
Right.
7 years. We're breaking out of a 7-year range.
This is what I try to tell people. Yeah.
Believe me, that amount of time sitting in the range, and now the action that it has above that 7-year range, has anybody that's shorted chewing on their fingernails, right? Chewing on their fingernails. And when this thing explodes to 107.5,
right,
this month, people will be like, holy shit, I didn't see that coming. Well, you should have watched Market Vitals June 1st.
Well, you should have been watching the last 2 years. We told you to buy it 90, 89. Come on.
Bingo. Anyway, that's what we got. Pay attention. I mean, that's what triaging the market really means, Matt. Triaging means, in a medical sense, it means like what are all the factors going on with this blood pressure, heart rate, O2 level, blood cell count. These are all the things that they talk about in the triage world. Well, in the markets,
stopping the bleeding.
Exactly. In the markets is what's the long-term value? What's the point of control? What are the standard deviation modeling levels? On what fractal are you looking at? What fractal are you interacting with? That's how you talk about it. That's how we talk about it. You can talk about it any way you want. But
Bob, we talked about it over the weekend. Bitcoin, was dipped down there at 28, and then it rallied all the way again to 32. I don't know about you, but I sold the turds out of it again. Let's just bring that up because we haven't talked about it in a week. And Bitcoin, again, very balanced here, very balanced. And we made a relatively new high, but again, really thin market. I mean, good Lord, it's thin to begin with, right? Thin to win. But this balancing act is teetering, like it's getting old. I mean, they would have to get it over 36 to even somewhat be bullish for me. And really, again, I'm going to go back.
I'm sure too, because again,
I'm going to go back to the 610 chart. Nothing's changed for me. Again, this is why I prefer a longer term chart for this. I still think we're going to have to pay the piper and trade down to single digits, 7 to 10,000. Then we're going to trade down to here.
Let me. It's great. Again, monthly in Bitcoin, Coinbase, Bitcoin, physical. Again, from a standard deviation level, these bands have rolled over right now. Now you're fighting the slope. And that's a nuance that I pay attention to. So again, much like the indices,
the slope of hope,
much like the indices, you need Bitcoin to take out and close above 34,589. That's the monthly momentum level. The profile that I have there is just a snapshot from 17 to 21. All right. And that point of control, 81,000.
Yep.
I mean, not 81, 8,000.
Yep.
Wow, I got a decimal off. I don't see how right now this story is telling me that this wants to roll over and wants to trade lower and wants to at least test that high end of the profile from that 5-year span. 12,500. It seems pretty clean. We've talked about it for a long time, Matt, how especially Bitcoin in the crypto world is very obedient on levels and trades fairly technically, and has been for a long time. That's what I got on that.
Yeah, it does trade technically, but it's very thin also. And again, there are no earnings in crypto land, right? So what can drive this thing? That's
the only thing that really drives it, as far as I'm concerned, is use case. Like it's got to be used. And I've said that believe me, I've been involved in crypto for a while. Was involved in an ICO project several years ago. And the whole idea is adoption. If there's no adoption, the coin has nothing.
And Bob, I'm just going to bring up our market vitals sheet again that is available for free to all members, free. We don't charge anything for our general mayhem in our room. And these levels are for the triage are available, and they're the pivots and the different resistance.
The pivots, the value range from the previous day, and the daily standard deviation modeling, including the momentum and the collar. We call it the collar. So the exhaustion levels and the momentum levels. Mind the mo, I've been saying it for a decade at least.
And it's just interesting. I had, I was short today, and we had a target of 500, 529, somewhere in there. And we actually went through it on the NASDAQ, and I'm just going to point that out right here. And the NASDAQ traded all the way down to a new low, 450, but the bonds have kind of turned around here. But this is a good thing. Like it keeps.
Matt, and let me just point out that second target in the NASDAQ 12,440, that is 67% of the expected range.
Right.
So again, a lot of times in trading, it's like, don't be a pig. You got to ring the register. And what's helping you define the potential in the market? And are you able to actually pull the trigger when you know in your heart you should be taking profit?
Yeah, and
Bears
the
make money.
and the Nas. And again, do you want if you're going to trade liquidity? These are forget about uranium. I mean, you can make more money than you ever need trading just Nasdaq. You just focus on this. 400 points wide yesterday, 400 points wide today. I say this all the time. If you're a day trader or you're trading within the range of a week, the way I grade myself is if I can take 20% of the total range. If I'm a day trader, if the range is 40 points or 400 points, I take 20% of that, not the whole thing. In a day, I take 80 points out of 400. I've killed it. I have killed it. Now, if you're trading on a weekly basis and the range is again, let's say
it's 4,000. Let's say
11,670 up here to 12,890. Again, that's a huge move. 1,200 points available to you. If you take 250 points out of that, you are killing it as a trader. So when does that trade happen? Maybe you just got long at the end of the week, for that end of the month paint job. Perfect. Get out. Now you start looking at the other side, two-sided markets, right? Now we're two-sided the last couple of days as we've come into the new month and we roll into the, to the end of the quarter here. All these things are in play, but that's all you need to do. If you do that consistently on any time frame, whatever your time frame is, just take a bite of it. You are killing it in this market. You don't have to worry about every sniggle, wiggle, diggle. You don't have to get every trade. But find the trades, the big trades, and ride the wave. Ride the wave.
Bingo. Hey, Matt, there's our trading risk disclosure at the bottom of that. It says trading is risky. Trade at your own risk. Be careful or live in a van down by the river.
Yep.
Me and Farrell's in the van down by the river. That's what we got. It's marketvitals.io is the community. Market Vitals is the stream. We would really appreciate a retweet. No liking, no likey, retweet. And hats off to Boeing for the sex toy of the month. I think we have to acknowledge that.
You'll find that on Adam and Eve, right? A new Boeing toy for those that identify.
Church and Dwight. You can get your Arm & Hammer baking.
Does she identify? What does she identify as? If she loves,
she identifies as the president of the FCC
or a stewardess. Did I say stewardess? Not flight attendant? Oh my!
All right, that's what we got. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Lee.